image that we will eventually deploy as a container. So let's head back over to our Cloud 9 here. And the first thing we need to do is we need to provide a resource. Now we can see that in the Terraform Docker documentation. So if we go to terraform.io/docs/providers/docker, you'll be using this quite a bit, as I'm not going to be able to cover every single possible piece of this documentation. So make sure you are familiar with the docs and how to access them. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull down a Docker image. Now, as you can see here, that provides pretty much all the information you need to know. First thing we're going to do is create this resource. Now, as you can see, the resources include Docker container, Docker image, Docker network, and Docker volume. These are the building blocks for our application that we will be building as code. All right, so what we want to do is we want to define a resource. And that resource is going to be a Docker image, as you can see here. Now we need to name that resource. That's how this resource will be referenced throughout our scripts. So we're going to name this node-red_image. Now we'll do our braces. And what we need to do is we need to specify the name of the image itself. Now this is not a logical name. This is just the name of the image itself and not an arbitrary name that we provide. So we'll do name equals node-red/node-red:\latest. Again, this is the actual name of the image that you find in Docker Hub, not an arbitrary name that we're providing it. Okay, I'm going to save this file. Now, as you remember, we've already performed a Terraform init. If you haven't done that for any reason, go ahead and do so. Clear my screen. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to do a Terraform FMT, which stands for format. And then I'm going to do a -diff, which will show us the differences that are made. There we go. As you can see, it gives us a nice little output of what it changed. And all it did was adjust some spacing and things like that, which really just cleans up the script and helps the script remain consistent throughout our deployment. So now that we've done that, I'll clear the screen. And now what we want to do is do a Terraform plan. Let me bring this up a little bit. Okay, so as you can see, we're going to be creating a resource. The resource is going to be the node-red image, which will receive an ID, and you can see here you've got the name. So now that we've got our Terraform plan, that's exactly what we want to do. We want to create a new image. As you can see, we did not specify an out parameter. You can, of course, do that. We'll dive a little bit deeper into that further into the course, but for right now, we're not going to worry about that. So we're going to clear, and now we're going to Terraform apply. As you can see, it provides our plan information again so that we know what's going on before we apply. You always get this second chance to cancel the apply unless you use auto approve. We're going to try not to use that much, as that can be pretty dangerous whenever you are working in production. So we're going to type yes to approve. And it is now pulling the image. So we'll give it a little bit of time here. And it's creating. Okay, congratulations, you have just performed your first Terraform apply. As you can see, we've got 1 added, 0 changed, and 0 destroyed. So I'm going to clear my screen here, and I'm going to perform a Docker image ls to take a look at that image. Now, as you can see, Cloud 9, which has Docker installed automatically, includes several default images. You can go ahead and ignore any of these Lambda images, as those come with Cloud 9. What we're focused on here, of course, is our node-red image. As you can see, it has downloaded and it is good to go. So our Terraform apply worked, and everything is good to go to continue on to the next lesson. So come on back and we'll continue the course.
Hello Sanjay.
hello hello මේ
මේ ඒ අර අපි කරපු ටිකම තමයි ඉතින් එයා කරන්නේ.
ඒක අර මේ එතන folder structure එක පොඩ්ඩක් මේ describe කරන්නේ තියෙන විදිය.
ඔව් folder structure එක මේ ඒක ඇත්තට important නැහැ ඉතින් නමුත් දැනගෙන ඉන්නවා නම් හොඳයි. නමුත් ඒක ලොකු importance එකක් නැහැ ඉතින්.
මේ අපි මේ ඊළඟ step එකට යමුනේ. එතකොට
යමු නේද?
ඔව්.
Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into what we just did with that Terraform plan and Terraform apply. I've already deployed my infrastructure, so let's take a look and see what happens whenever I run another Terraform plan. As you can see, infrastructure is up to date, so there's no changes that are going to be made. As you can also see, it refreshed the state and validated that that image existed, which we can see here with Docker image ls. Right here, that Node-RED image is available. Now, just a reminder, all of these other Lambda images here are default to the Cloud9 environment, and you can ignore those as those have nothing to do with what we're doing. So I'm going to clear my screen here. Let's go ahead and destroy our infrastructure so that we can take another look at the plan options. So Terraform destroy. And I'm going to confirm this destroy. As you can see, it is destroying the resource we created with ID, latest, name, everything else. So we will type yes to confirm that destroy. And it's completed. So I'll clear my screen, Docker image ls, and it's gone. So clear my screen again. Now what I want to do is run another Terraform plan. As you can see, it says it's going to create a new resource, but it also specifies that I did not specify an out parameter. So I'm not saving this plan, which is typically fine, and it's great because when you run the Terraform apply manually, that gives you another plan and a chance to analyze that plan and ensure that you are deploying the right resources. Now watch what happens if I utilize a plan file and an apply. So what I'm going to do is do a Terraform plan, out equals, and we'll just name this plan 1. Okay, so as you can see, we now have plan 1. Let's take a look and see what that looks like. Not something you're going to be able to use. So this is an encoded file. Not encrypted, but encoded. So if you were storing secrets or variables or something in this plan, it could potentially be used against you. Keep that in mind. And if you are storing these plans, make sure you still store them with encryption. All right, I'm going to clear my screen and I'll close that plan now. So now let's utilize that plan in an apply. Now, as you remember, when you do a Terraform apply, it gives you the plan here and gives you the chance to enter a value whether you confirm or deny this plan, which is provided with a yes or a no. I'm going to type no. Apply canceled. Now in automation, that can be somewhat of a pain. So let's utilize the plan file instead of just applying without it. Terraform apply, and we'll just type plan 1. Okay, as you can see, there was no confirmation dialog. I was able to use the plan immediately, and it's already creating our resources. So this is great for automation, but not something you necessarily want to do if you are running this manually. And the reason, of course, being you do not get that second chance to approve. So if you do plan on applying the plans directly, ensure that you know what you're doing and you are prepared for anything in that plan to be deployed or changed no matter what's in there. So now let's take a look at some of the other options you'll see with Terraform plan. --help. As you can see, we've already used the alt path. You've got no color, which was used in init also. You're going to see that in just about any Terraform command. We can use input variables, which we will cover later in the course. If you use destroy, that will actually simulate a Terraform destroy. You can compact warnings if you need to. Again, that could be something that could be used for automation or for small terminals, things like that. And you've also got the ability to target specific resources, specific state files, things like that. Again, that's something we will be covering throughout the course, but we're not ready to cover it yet. So let's take a look and see what the Terraform plan destroy looks like. Pretty obvious. It just tells you that it's going to destroy those resources. Okay, so now we've looked over most of the options on Terraform plan, and let's take a look at the options for Terraform apply. And what you'll find is the options are pretty much all the same. So anything that you do with a plan, you can do with an apply, such as specifying variables and compacting warnings and all of that. So do keep that in mind. We're not going to cover any of that as we've already spoken to it, but that is something we will be utilizing in the course as we continue. So that's all for this lesson. You can go ahead and mark it complete and come on back to the next one.
සංග
ඔව් සංජීව කියන්නේ.
ඒකේ ටික අපිට කරා ඒක plan 1 එක අපි set කරේ නැහැ.
ඔව් plan 1 එක set කරේ නැහැ. නමුත් එහෙම කරන්න පුළුවන්. කියන්නේ Terraform plan out කියලා දීලා dash out කියලා දීලා plan file එකක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. apply කරනකොට ඒ file එක choose කරලා apply කරන්න ගියේ.
අපි ඒක මේ ඉස්සරහදී catch up කරගමු. අපි ඊළඟ එකක් යමුනේ.
Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to actually finally deploy the container that we've downloaded the image for, and we're going to explain how to reference values from other resources. So let's get started. So what we're going to do in this lesson is we are going to deploy a Docker container. Now, as you can see here, the Docker container documentation is pretty straightforward, at least on the example usage. There are a whole lot of opportunities here and options to modify things, but we're going to keep it fairly simple to start. So what we're going to need to do is reference the image, which as you can see here, docker image.ubuntu.latest is how they do it here. We're going to do it, of course, using the name we provided for the Docker image, which is Node-RED image. So let's take a look at how we're going to do that. What we're going to use is we're going to use a reference. And that's within the expressions documentation, which you can see here under configuration expressions. So you can reference just about anything. You've got variables, you've got modules, and of course we're going to cover all of this stuff as we go through the course. I just wanted to make sure I showed you where to access the documentation. So let's head back over to our script and let's get started. So first up, we need to create a resource for the Docker container. So resource, Docker container, and we'll name this Node-RED container and use our braces to set up our resource block. And the first thing we want to do here is we want to name it. Now in this case, the name is actually more of a logical value. It doesn't matter what you name it. You just need to name it something that can be referenced if you need to. So in this case, we're just going to name it Node-RED. Now the next step is we need to provide the image. Now the image needs to be referenced from the image resource. So we'll type image, and in this case that means it will be Docker image, which is the resource, .node-red image, which is the name of that resource, as you can see there, .latest. Now, where are we getting this latest from? There are a few ways to find out your possible options, but we're going to start with the docs. So what we need to do is we need to go to Docker image here in the docs, and let's take a look at the attributes reference. And as you can see, latest is the only reference available for the image, and that provides the ID of the image. So that's going to give a unique representation of this image that we can reference from other resources. So back over to our script, we've got latest there. That's going to reference that image and deploy the container. Since Node-RED needs to be accessible externally, we need to expose some ports. So let's take a look at our Docker container. And I'm just going to do a Control F for port. There we go. Ports. Let's take a look here. See ports below. There we go. That is linked. So I'll click on that. Ports. We have internal, external, IP, and protocol. We're going to be using the internal and external. IP will expose on all listening IP addresses on this instance, and protocol is going to default to TCP, which is what we're using. So let's go ahead and set up these internal and external ports. So what we'll do is we'll type in ports, and this itself is a map. So we need to include another set of braces as this is a separate block. So we'll do internal equals. Now the internal port for Node-RED is port 1880, and we'll actually do that as a number. Terraform calls this a number, not an integer. Keep that in mind. That will come in handy later. Then we're going to do external, and we'll just map that also to 1880. Now, generally speaking, unless you change the Docker file, the internal port will always be 1880, but the external can be different. We can expose this port on different ports on the server if we'd like. But in this case, we'll just keep it as 1880. So all of that's done. I'm going to save my script. I'm going to run Terraform format. Okay, and as you can see, it just kind of cleaned up my spaces there. I could probably go in and change my spaces to 2 spaces instead of 4 and not have to do that. But Terraform format makes it easy, so I'm not going to bother right now. Clear my screen. So once I've done that, let's do a Docker PS. Nothing's run yet, so I'm going to clear that. Now let's do a Terraform plan. Okay, as you can see, we have one thing to add, and that is the Node-RED container. As you can see, we have a lot of options here, many of which are known after the apply. These are all attributes that you can query in the future, which of course we will do in a later lesson. Here is that image that we referenced here. As you can see, very unique. And then here are our ports. As you can see, IP defaulted to 0000, and the protocol defaulted to TCP. Everything looks good, so let's go ahead and run this apply. Clear the screen, Terraform, apply. And everything looks the same, so I'll type in yes. And we'll give this a few seconds. There it goes, it has deployed. And as you can see, we now have a terraform.tfstate file and a tfstate.backup file indicating that the state was changed. So I'm going to clear my screen. And now let's do another Docker PS. As you can see, there's our container. All right, so that's all for this lesson. Come on back to the next and we will continue the course.
අපි ඒක කරනවද සංකල්ප?
ඔව් ඒක මම කරනවා මං හිතියේ ඒක ඇප්ලයි කරලා
මේ URL එක මොකක්ද සංකේ යා බලපු
මොකද
ඒ Terraform registry එක බැලුවේ
ඔව් Terraform registry URL එක මම share කරන්නේ නේද
ඔව් ඒක තමයි එයා ඒ බලපු එක මේ container එකේ ports කරන නැහැ
මොකද
වගාව තියෙන documentation එකේ ports කරන එහෙම ඒ තියෙන context එක නෑ නේ මාසම්
file stream share කරන්නේ තාමත් තියෙන්නේ ඒක container එකේ පල්ලෙහාට යන්නකො ports කියලා නැද්ද? ඔය තියෙන ports කියලා
මෙතන තියෙනවා.
ඔය එක තමයි. below see below for nested schema.
මෙතන තියෙනවා. අර
Internal
අරකදී පොඩ්ඩක් වෙනස්.
ඈ
අරකේ සාම්පල් එකක් එක්කම තියෙනවා. එයාගේ තිබුණේ.
ඒක නම් ඒක map එකක් data structure එකනේ කියන්නේ. අද මේක map එකක් කියන map එක දාන්න මෙහෙමයි කියලානේ අපි උනේ නේද?
ඔයා ෂෙයා කරන්නකෝ. ඔයා කරපේ.
හරි. මේක දැන් රන් වෙනවා මේ මේක දැන් බලන්න බෑ එකපාරට මාර්ගයක් රන් වෙලා ඉවරනේ ඉන්නේ. මම දෙක තුනක් යනවා ඔය රන් ඩවුන්ලෝඩ්. Sorry. මේ ඉන්නේ සර්විස් එක තමයි.
අපුණාද ඒක?
ඒක අපුණ. නෝට් බ්‍රේක් කියනවා. මේ තමයි සර්විස් එක. ඒකට මේ කෝඩ් එක මේක.
කෝඩ් එක පෙන්නනවා.
මේ තමයි කෝඩ් එක. මම පේස්ට් කරා මේ ටික මෙතෙන්ට නිකන් පේස්ට් කරා පාන්නේ විදිහට ඊට පස්සේ ඩොකර් ඉමේජ් එකකින් මේක ගත්තා.
කොයි මේජ් එක නාට් එක ගන්නවා නේ.
ඔව්.
name එක වෙන්නේ node red latest. මේ resources දෙකක් දානකොට මස්සන්ට පොඩ්ඩක් ඒක කියන්නේ ඒක resources දෙකක් ගන්නවා කොහොමද flow එක උඩින් යට යන්නේ?
උඩින් ඉඳලා මුලින්ම ඩොකර් ඉමේජ් එක ඕනනේ.
ඔව් ඒක හරිය මම කිය resources දෙකේ කොහොමද වෙන්නේ කියලා.
ඒ කියන්නේ
අද resources දෙකක් තියෙනවනේ. ඒතර පළවෙනි resources එක මේ run වෙලා දෙවෙනි එක යනවද කොහොමද පිළිවෙල?
ඔය එනවා උඩින් ඉඳලා පල්ලෙහාට.
ඒක multiple resources දාන්න පුළුවන් නේ.
So multiple resource blocks දාන්න පුළුවන්, multiple providers දාන්න පුළුවන්.
එතකොට මේ provider අදාළ වෙන යට තියෙන resources වලටද නැත්නම් නමටද ගන්නෙ? දැන්
provider එකකින් කරන්නේ ඉතින් docker එකත් එක්ක කතා කරන එකනේ.
ඔව් නෑ මම ඒක නෙමෙයි හිතන්නේ. resources එකේ docker underscore image තියෙනවා docker underscore container තියෙනවා. අන්න ඒ වගේ අපිට මේ ඕන resource එකක් ඕකට දාන්න පුළුවන්.
බෑ ඒගොල්ලෝ ඩිෆයින් කරලා තියෙන්නේ ඔය විතරයි docker underscore image එකයි docker underscore container එක නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ ඩිෆයින් කරලා තියෙන ඒ වගේ අර වම් පැත්තේ තියෙන screen එකේ මතකද? docker underscore image docker underscore container docker underscore registry වගේ තියෙනවනේ.
මේ ඔයාගේ ස්පේස් එක මගේ ස්පේස් එක පොඩ්ඩක් ඩිෆරන්ට් එකක් තියෙන එක කමෙන්ට් එකක් ගන්න.
spacing ප්‍රශ්නයක් නේ.
මේකෙන් අවුලක් නෑ. thinking වගේ. ansible වගේ.
ඔව්. මේක පොඩි change එකක් කරනවා image එක feed block එකේ තියෙනවා.
keep local full කරන්න. like Terraform apply කරලා දාන්න ඕනේ. ගන්න. yes. ඒ Terraform apply කරාට පස්සේ මේ code එකේ issue එකක් තියෙනවා indicate කරන්න ඕනේ.
ඔව්. code එකේ error එකක් තියෙනවා නම් දෙන්න.
ඒක අපිට තව ගොඩාක් ඕන නම් add කරන්න පුළුවන් නේ. ඒකේවා තියෙනවා. health check කියලා එකක් තියෙන ඒක මොකක්ද දන්නේ health check ඒක apply කරාට පස්සේ අර පෙන්නන එකේ තියෙනවා health check කියලා එකක් මේක මාස
පොඩ්ඩයි
Terraform apply කරපු එකේ බලන්න
screen එක share කරන්න කන්නේ. මොකද අවුල?
එළ මේක මාස
හරි ඒකදී ඒවා default එන parameters නේ.
මේ docker එකට දාලානේ ඒක
ඔව් docker එකට දාලා.
අනේ ටික වෙලා ගන්න ඕනේ.
වෙලා යනවා. නෑ නේද? අතරක් විතර ගියා.
Okay, can you access කරන්න හරි කියලානේ. මේක එලියට ඇක්සස් කරනවා මම සන්ත මේ
වේග්‍රන්ට් වල නම් තියෙනනේ විදියක් මම ඒක නම් දන්නේ නැහැ.
නෑ මේක මේ IP එක ඇත්තේ මේ මගේ normal range එක ඇත්තේ. එතකොට මේක ඇත්තේ 100 අපට මේ මම මේ ඉන්ටර්නෙට් ස්පීඩ් වැඩි කරන්න මේ නෙට්වර්ක් එකම හරු කරා. Zian udah kayak Zian ada gila nih. Nanti kalau malu kurang ini. Kayaknya. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Saya range udah ada. එතකොට මේ පෝට් එකයි 80 අපි දුන්න මේකයි මේ ඕපන් කරා නම් බ්‍රවුසරේ view වෙන්න ඕනේ. Semicolon. So මම මේකේ චෙක් කරලා නැහැ මොකක්ද මේ ඒ අලුතෙන් VM එක ගන්න ගහලා තියෙන ඒක පොලිසි කොහොමද දන්නේ නැහැ වැඩ කරන්නේ. මේ Oracle VM එක නෙමෙයි. VM එක බලමු මම කමන්නේ හරි නිකන් දැන් හරිනේ.
ඔව් අප්පලා ඇත්තේ මේ පේන්නේ නැති එක විතරයි. ඔක PS එකක් ගන්නද? ගන්න අප්පල්
මේ අපි ඊළඟ එක 28යි නේ
28යි නේ අපි මීටින් එක ජොයින් වෙන්නේ.
අපි ආයේ කීයටද මම
දොළහට බෑනේ නේද? 12ට බෑනේ. අවශ්‍ය 3 විතර.
ඔව් 3 හොඳයි නේ 3 4 මාර.
ඇයි මේ මං අද හවස නැහැ මං එනවා තයි පසු දවසක ජොයින් වෙන්නම්
හරි ඕකේ.
ඒ මම කවුද මේ චානක මේ මම මේක මගේ අර ප්‍රයිවට් YouTube channel එකට දානවා. ඒක මම link එක දානවා ඔයාලට ඒක බලන්න.
රයිට් හරි හරි.
අන්න ඔසක කොහොමද ගියාද?
මම සංගය කියන්නේ තාටිගේ මීටින් එක.